This here and welcome to the Original Coding name YouTube channel. And as a beginner developer, I'm going to show you the solution of a beginner developer's challenge. And this one is quite popular apparently in interviews. It's the FizzBuzz challenge, or it used to be popular in interviews, probably not anymore. And if you don't know it, you probably haven't been in development for long like myself, but here it is. You need to create a code that outputs numbers 1 to 100, except that if the number is divisible by 3, it outputs fizz. If it's divisible by 5, it outputs buzz. And if it's divisible by both, it outputs FizzBuzz. And so, first time I did this challenge, I did it the way most people do it, which is I used a series of else if statements. So, if it's divisible by 3, do this. If it's divisible by 5, do that. If it's divisible by both 3 and 5, do the following, and so forth. The problem is it's very difficult to maintain it. So I'll show you the better solution to this code, which I didn't come up with myself. I did this during my bootcamp, and we talked through this code, and I really like it. I think it's quite neat. So let's do it. Let's start by creating a loop, because obviously this is going to be a loop. So we're going to declare I to be 1 actually. We're going to do this until I is less than or equals to 100, and then every time we go around the loop we'll add 1 to I. So we'll do this 100 times. Cool. So let's see, we're getting an error code. That's because there's one too many of these. So now, instead of having to worry about all the different conditions, all we need to do is just put in every condition as a separate if statement. So if I is divisible by 0, then we do the following. And then if not divisible by 0, if I is divisible by 3 and equals 0. So there you go. And then we'll do one for 5, and that's all we need because we're just doing 3 and 5 at the moment. So I'm just going to copy paste that, get rid of that, and add a 5 here instead. So we just need to put the codes in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare something called output, and I'll make it an empty string. So it's a falsy value, and that's important for later on. So we're saying that if I is divisible by 3, we need it to output fizz. So let's put output here and give it add to it, concatenate, I can never say that word, fizz to that output. If it's divisible by 5, then we're going to concatenate, still can't say it, buzz. And that's almost it. So now, if we look at each loop, let's try it. First, we use 1. Is 1 divisible by 3? No. Is it divisible by 5? No. So we don't run either of those codes. Is true? No, we don't run either of those codes again. Is 3? Well, it hits the first condition, so we're going to add fizz to the output. But it does not respect the second condition, so the output will remain fizz. And so forth. So we go 4, 5 will be buzz, 6 will be fizz, 9 will be fizz, 10 will be buzz, 15 will be fizz, and then buzz because it's both divisible by 3 and divisible by 5. That's great and all, but how do we get this out of the loop? How do we get an end result? Well, I'm going to use a console log. We could simply use a return statement and then log it. I'm just going to take a shortcut. I'm going to show you the way I started doing this, which was not a good way of doing it apparently. Is I used short circuiting is what it's called, and there's apparently a good reason why that's not good, and I forgot that reason even though I was told multiple times. This would work, where I'm saying if output is truthy, then we give output. If it's a falsy, let's say an empty string as it is now, we give I. And if I run this code, you see that it works. 3, 5, 6, 9, 10, 12, 15, and so forth. You can see that this code works, but apparently it's just not good practice. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to create a ternary. And we're going to say if output is truthy, we will log output, otherwise we will log I. And this is apparently better code, so I will keep doing it as it is. And if I do that, we get exactly the same result, where we get all the FizzBuzz values. So why is this important? So here's what's happening. Here we have a conditional statement saying if output is truthy, which if it's 1, for example, it isn't, then we give one of these true values. If it's truthy, we give an output. If it's falsy, we give I. And why is this solution better than, say, using else if? Well, because if we want to add another statement, all we need to do is add one more conditional. We just go I divisible, let's say, by 7, and we want, if that's the case, then we add spoon. So we do output plus or minus plus the string of spoon. So what am I missing here? I'm missing this. There you go. So that's all we need to do. Whereas if we were using a series of else if statements, I'd have to take into account if it's divisible by 7, if it's divisible by 7 and 3, if it's divisible by 7 and 5, if it's divisible by 7, 3 and 5, and so forth. And if you have to do that with every line, it's going to get very complex very quickly. So if I were doing else if statements, this code would be about 7 times longer than what it is now, which is quite incredible. So this is why this is a far more maintainable code. And this is the solution for the FizzBuzz challenge, a maintainable, easy to read, and efficient solution to the FizzBuzz challenge. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please share and subscribe. I'm Tarek Merface. I'll see you guys next time, and happy coding.